Okay. Recording. Yes. Okay. We are going to do a pattern. I'm taking these four shapes, whatever artwork you're going to use. You're going to select all four pieces. You're going to go to Object, Pattern, Make, and it already automatically makes a pattern for you. So what I want you to notice is that it's going to go into your swatch palette. That's where we're going to find it. And it's going to highlight in full color the tile, the pattern tile that you're making. And it's going to dull out the actual pattern. So you don't use just this generic one that comes up. You want to go ahead and look at the different options. So first you have a grid, you have a brick by row, you have a brick by column. Notice how things are aligning. Like for example, in here, the circle and the square are touching. I don't really care for that. What happens when I hex it? Nope, now the square and circle are overlapping. I don't care for that. Or the row, now everything's overlapping, which maybe that's what you want, but for my purposes, it's not what I want. So I'm going to go back up to the brick by row and I'm going to do the brick by row. I think that I like that they're mixing up and nothing's sitting on top of each other. Now I'm going to determine how the offset is. I'm going to go to 3/4. Oh, no, actually, I think I like the half better. I'm going to go with the half. You can also decide how the width and height is of everything. You can decide on the overlaps if you have overlap, which we don't. You can decide how many copies you're going to do, 5x5, 7x7, 9x9. I'm going to go 5x5. And I'm all done. So I'm going to say, great. I'm going to name it. Definitely name it so you can keep track of all of these. Shapes 1 pattern, I'm going to call this. So I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to exit the window. Now, you might say, where did my pattern go? Well, it went into your swatches menu. Where's my swatches menu? Oh, it's over here. Let's go here. Here's the swatches menu. And here's where it goes, right into your swatches. So how I can see it is, I'm going to move these guys over. I'm going to take a shape now and fill it with my pattern. So there's my pattern. There's my other pattern. They're both in there. And you might be going, wow, that pattern is so big. And I would agree. I'm like, oh, that's too big. I want to use this pattern really small. Well, we can scale it. So I'm going to double click onto my scale tool and you can see under options, it's scale corners, scale strokes, transform objects. I just want to transform my pattern. That's the only one I want checked. And I want it to be uniform and I want it to be 50% of what I currently have. And I'm going to say, okay. And voila, there I just made it smaller. And now I'm like, I actually want it even smaller than that. So I'm going to go back to my menu here and I'm going to make it even 50% smaller. And there it went smaller. So I can keep doing that. Now I can also move things around in my pattern by selecting my pattern, holding the tilde down with the direct select tool. And now I can move my pattern around inside my shape. I'm holding the tilde down and using the direct select tool. And so I can align it just however I want it in my shape. So you can scale your pattern once you create it. You can move it to how you like it in your shape. And you can also do things like you can look at this pattern and say, okay, I want to make edits to it by going Object, Pattern, Edit Pattern. And I can say, you know what? I actually want to change this star to blue. and say, okay. And now I'm going to call it shapes pattern blue. And I'm going to say, okay. And I'm going to double click and boom. Now my pattern that I just used is shapes pattern blue, and I changed it to blue, and it's showing up right here. Okay, if I want to make another version of it, I can duplicate it here. I'm going to make this one orange. And I'm going to go into this one and go file, or sorry, object. I don't know why I keep saying file. Object, edit pattern. And this time I'm going to make this guy orange. And I'm going to stop, double click, and now it's orange. And now I can have two different versions. I can have this one and I can have this one, my blue and my orange. Okay. So have fun with patterns. They are a blast to make. I love making patterns, and they're so easy to make than they ever used to be. Patterns used to be so hard to make, and now they are just so simple. Notice that if I just squish, it's going to squish my pattern and everything. I'm not holding the shift key down. If I want to scale this whole thing, I have to hold my shift key down. It'll scale it proportionately. But if I want to just change the shape of my box, I have to use the direct select tool, because what I want to do is just make my box a different shape. There we go. That's the direct select tool. I want to adjust and get this little edge off here. So I'm going to hold my tilde down, and I'm going to move my pattern inside my box to get rid of that edge. Okay, and that's how we do patterns.